fashion do's and don'ts usually totally suck and drive me up the wall because they're always telling us you're too short, you're too old, you're too tall, you're too wide, you're too skinny, you're too something, right? So don't do this, do that. And you know what? No, we're not playing that game today. I am going to show you 8 of my absolutely favorite refashion do's and don'ts so you can keep those awesome items that maybe just don't fit anymore or you're not feeling anymore in your wardrobe, and you do not have to go and buy something new from the mall or the thrift store or whatever. I'm Refashionista Sheri, and I show you how to use what you have to make what you want. So let's get making. Do's and don'ts style. Don't get rid of that button-down dress that you never wear. Do transform it into the most awesome jacket ever. All you need is a denim dress or jacket, some funky fabric dye, and some semi-sheer fabric. First thing I have to do here is decide how long I want my jacket to be, and then chop it to that length. Now, because I'm replacing the sleeves with that groovy transparent fabric, I of course have to now chop off the sleeves. And I'm going to cut them off as close to this nice finished edge of the armhole as I can. So I pretty much now just created a denim vest, and I could be done right now and this would be a totally no-sew project. But of course we're transforming this into a cool jacket, and so because of that I went ahead and I also chopped off the sleeve cuffs because I'm going to see if I can reattach them to the new sleeves. And yeah, let's just saturate all this wonderful denim. Oh, that's gonna look so fantastic. The dye worked brilliantly. It's not super deep black, but it's definitely an improvement. And now let's move on to making those sleeves. If I fold this in half and put it just past my shoulder, it actually goes to my wrist. And keep in mind, I am going to be adding the original sleeve cuffs back on, so that is more than long enough to create my sleeves. So now I just have to measure the armhole and get the width, and then we can put it all together. So now I am not going to be using any kind of tailor's measure or anything again. I'm simply going to take my already folded fabric and pop it on top of the armhole, giving myself about 1 centimeter for seam allowance, because you see the edge here is not so great, so we definitely need some seam allowance there. And then I'm just going to loosely follow the shape of the armhole here. So there we go. Now I'm going to give myself another bit of a seam allowance here, pop a pin in, and now go chop that to size. So of course I went ahead and used the first chopped pieces as a template to cut out the second chopped pieces, and I now have 4 pieces of fabric, 2 for each sleeve. Now all I have to do is sew the longest edges of each set of 2 together, and the sleeves will be nearly ready. Okay, so I have my sleeve cuff right side out and my sleeve inside out. And I'm going to pop my sleeve cuff inside of my sleeve, so now we have the right sides facing, and here the raw edges are lined up. Okay, it's all stitched together. Now comes the moment of truth. Let's flip it right side out. And that looks awesome. I'm super pleased with how this came out. Wow, that looks so cool. Okay, let's go stitch it on to the jacket and be finished. So I have my vest inside out, and now I'm just going to take my sleeve that is right side out and pop it into the armhole here with right sides all facing together. And all the edges nicely lined up. That is absolutely perfect. And now I just have to go stitch that together. Don't dismiss dowdy old clothes. Refashion them into something you want to wear without sewing anything. All you need is a vintage elastic or empire waist nightgown and your seam ripper. Because my nightie has this kind of a decorative ribbon tie here, I'm going to remove that first. Next, to get rid of this annoying and very old-fashioned empire waist, I'm simply going to remove this interior elastic. Now, because this is a very vintage polyester fabric, I'm going to be removing these stitches 1 or 2 at a time maximum, because I really don't want to cause any holes or tears into this old funky fabric. And once that frumpy elastic empire waist is removed, I now have a beautifully smooth and gorgeous maxi dress for summer. Now, quick tip, when you remove the elastic waist, because it has been in there for quite a few decades, you may want to just give the fabric a quick press with the iron. If your fabric is polyester, please remember to put a nice cotton hanky or thin towel over top of the fabric to protect it from burning. And from that kind of tacky tie that I removed from the nightgown first, I created an adorable wrap bracelet. All I had to do was stitch the ends together, then I added an adorable button from my stash and simply wrapped it around my wrist 3 times. Don't give up on a shirt just because it's boring. Do recreate the sleeves without adding any new fabric. All you need is a flannel shirt and your sewing gear. So because my shirt has this annoying logo on the pocket, the first thing I'm going to do is cover it up with this adorable skull patch. After ironing on my skull patch, I popped the shirt on and marked where I would like to shorten it to, because I want this to be slightly cropped, and then I'm going to use the excess fabric to create those awesome new sleeves. Then I went ahead and did a relatively tight zigzag all along the chopped edge here, because I want this shirt to have kind of a deconstructed look, but I also don't want the bottom hem to start fraying crazily, and this should definitely help to prevent that. Then I popped my shirt on, and on one sleeve I marked the approximate area where I would like my kind of tiered bell balloon type of sleeves to start, and I've then folded my shirt evenly in half, and I'm just going to cut both sleeves to size. Now I'm going to take the leftover sleeve fabric and the leftover chopped bottom fabric and start to make my tiers for my sleeves. So first I'm just going to chop up the extra sleeve fabric here and get rid of those bulky seams. Okay, next we're gonna stitch these 2 pieces together to make a double size longer piece, because we want to be able to gather up our tiers onto our sleeves. Okay, so now I have the first piece of my tiers, and now let's go work on the second one, which of course does have to be longer than this one, and yeah, let's hope we can make it work. So to create the second tier, I'm going to be using the chopped bottom. So now I have yet another super extra long length of fabric, and now I'm going to go chop this into 2 pieces, because of course I have 2 sleeves. I need 2 of the super extra long pieces of fabric. So now I'm just going to go stitch the open ends of both of my lengths of fabric closed to create 2 loops of fabric. I now have my 2 loops of fabric, and I'm going to put them together. So I have the smaller loop with the right side facing out, and the longer loop with the wrong side facing out, and I'm going to put the small one into the big one, and then line up whichever side seam here. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's all going to get tucked up together anyway. I have it all nicely tucked and pinned, so let's go stitch it together. Okay, it is all stitched on. Now let's flip it and see. Okay. what that looks like. That looks like a tiny little skirt for an adorable child. So I'm going to attach the sleeve back onto this little bit of remaining sleeve using the exact same method I did to achieve this look here with my little pin tucks. So I'm just going to flip that over so the right sides are facing. And once again, we are now ready to go stitch it all together. All right, now let's flip that out. Oh, I think that looks super duper cute. Yeah, it really does. Don't settle for jeans with an awkward length. Do make it part of a funky feature with some denim scraps. All you need are your jeans that are kind of lackluster and you're just not feeling anymore. Maybe they're too short like these ones are on me, and some other piece of denim to create your awesome little fancy new ruffled cuffs. So I have my jeans folded in half with the hems lined up as good as I could get them. And I'm just going to chop off the hems, but I'm going to do it at a gentle angle. I made two very long lengths. I'm not going to finish the edges because I want them to be frayed and, distressed looking. And now I am simply going to pop these together with those chopped bottom hems here and do what I always do. I'm going to do my pin tucks all the way around to create my ruffles and then stitch it on. And when you pull it down, it should be nice little ruffled, distressed looking hems there. How adorable does that look? And I did go ahead and trimmed off all of the bits of excess here with my pinking shears. And then I stitched over that outside seam as well with the stitch in the ditch technique, just to keep it laying a lot flatter. And I really want to have a nice fray on this, so I'm going to throw these in with a load of laundry today, and then you'll see how awesome the fray comes after it's been washed. And this is what my fabulously frayed denim looks like after taking a bath with the rest of the laundry, and that's crazy. That's a lot of excess frayed threads there, but all different denims will fray totally differently. And if yours looks like this, then all you have to do is go and trim off all of the excess threads. Unless you like this look, then you can put them on and wear them as is. But you see how nice the little fray is right at the very edge? That's what I want it to look like. Don't leave a fabulous scarf unworn because you're not sure how to style it. Do transform it into a poncho in the easiest way possible. All you need is a turtleneck sweater that you don't mind chopping up, plus a scarf that wraps comfortably around your body. As you can see, I'm going to cut it as close to the seam here as possible. And that's just because I don't know if this fabric is going to start fraying immediately or not. We shall see. I have my scarf folded twice. You can see here one fold and then the other. And hilariously, the eye of the deer here is at the top of the kind of triangle. Yeah, so anyone who believes in conspiracy theories, come on down. Sorry, that's a terrible joke. Anyway, so now I'm just going to take my turtleneck and I'm going to fold it in half once and then try to use the edge here to kind of measure the width of the neck hole that I'm going to need to attach my turtleneck. And I think I'm going to go a little bit smaller than the width of the folded turtleneck here. And yeah, let's just chop that off. Okay, so I have opened this up and I'm just going to go from one side and try to kind of fold that around. That looks That looks perfect. But you know what? I gotta put it over my head to make sure I can get it on and off over my head. Alrighty, I can get it on over my head, and you can see here that when I pulled it on and off, it just started fraying. So let's get sewing quickly. Now, I have it laying with the right side facing down, and I have my turtleneck inside out, and I'm going to put the turtleneck inside the hole, like just super easy, and line up the raw edges. Now, the reason I have the wrong side of the turtleneck facing the right side of the fabric is so when I wear it, I can fold the turtleneck down, and I will then be showing the right side of the turtleneck, if that makes any sense. I will show you once it's all done, so hopefully it'll make more sense to you. But for now, just trust you need to have the wrong side of the turtleneck facing the right side of the scarf. Okay, now just go stitch it all together. That's it. It's so simple. Okay, it is all stitched on. Now let's do the moment of truth here. So you can see this is the right side of the scarf, and we have the wrong side of the turtleneck, and when I fold it down, la la, everything is as it should be. Hooray! I also went ahead and did a tight wide zigzag over the outside seam here just for extra strength. Don't limit your clothes to what they were originally designed to look like. Do chop them up and upstyle them into something totally new. So I think we're going to start with the shorts, and I'm guessing you could probably do this with, just about anything. It doesn't have to be knit. You could do it with jersey shorts and t-shirts, or, just cotton shorts and shirts. First thing I'm going to do is decide how I want them to be layered out here. And I think I want to try to use this part, this bottom part of all of these ones here, because you can see they're all the same, right? It's all identical, but they're all different colors. So I think if I stitch these together and then stitch it on here, it then is going to make it long enough to go on my torso, and then I should be able to simply attach this to the top, and then I should have a very cute little romper. So clearly the first thing I have to do is remove this bottom part from the very top part, and I think it's going to be quite easy, and I don't think it's going to fray, because if you can see here how it's all attached here, I think I should be able to just really carefully and slowly chop off this little connector area here, and then it should hopefully keep this finished edge here, and then I can stitch everything together. So that's what I'm going to do now with all three of these. I'm simply going to carefully chop out all of these little connector pieces here. And look at that, it's not fraying at all. How awesome is that? Okay, so I have this one inside out, this one right side out, and I'm simply going to put them together with the right sides facing and the edges all nicely lined up. And now I'm going to go stitch these chopped edges together, and when they're stitched together and I flip it right side out, everything will look lovely. So let's go do that. Now it's time to, what should we do first, the top or the bottom? Let's put the top on here, and I think I'm going to do the cream to the blue. I think that's going to look perfect. So I'm going to flip this inside out just the same way I did before, and then pop this inside with those side seams lined up and the right sides facing like so. And now I'm just going to go stitch this together. And the top is now stitched on and looking lovely. It is time to add the lovely bottom. And how are we going to do that? Well, exactly the same way we have done everything else. I'm simply going to flip this inside out. And then I popped the shorts inside, and so we have the right sides facing as always, and luckily this actually has a drawstring on it, which makes life so much easier because I can just line up the drawstring with the V neckline here, and then I know that it's definitely going to be straight. So it also has an elastic here in the waistband, so I'm going to have to really carefully be pushing this elastic down inside while I stitch these two together, because I really don't want to catch the elastic. So wish me luck, fingers crossed it's going to work out. Now I'm going to go stitch this first with a straight stitch, then as always with a tight wide zigzag to give it that bit of stretch needed, as well as to help prevent fraying, because I don't have a fancy serger machine. Don't assume a boring one-piece garment has to stay one piece. Do separate it into two pieces you'll actually wear. All you need is a jumpsuit that has sleeves and is a little bit too big for you, plus a t-shirt that is too small for you. And of course, the very first thing you need to do is chop your jumpsuit in half. So you want to cut it to a shirt length that you are happy with, as well as make sure that on the bottom you have enough to create a waistband. I'm cutting mine right in between that third and second last button there because I want to keep the pockets intact for my lounge pants. Then you want to grab the top, and you're basically just going to be combining the top and the t-shirt together. So you're going to make a funky mashup shirt. And I've made so many of these. I love them all so much, and they're so simple. And I will link down below to the full free tutorial for how to make this. But you see, you need the sides of the top with the sleeves and the center part with the collar and the graphic of the t-shirt. And then you're just going to stitch them together. Next up, of course, we have to make those comfy lounge pants. And for this, all I'm going to do is fold over the top to create my waistband tunnel, and then stitch that, leaving a spot open, of course, so I can put my elastic through to create my comfy waistband. And then it's all done, and I just created some amazing comfy pants. Don't think you can't wear something just because it didn't start out as clothing. Do see the potential in every piece of fabric around you. We are transforming 2 dollar store throw rugs and a zipper into an awesome fashion statement. Decide which rug you'd like for the front of your garment and which one you'd like for the back, and then lay them together on a flat surface with the front rug on top. Next, we need to find the center of our rugs, and the easiest way to do this is to simply fold them in half as evenly as possible, and then place a pin in the folded corner. And then when you open it up again, you have pretty much the center of your project. Next, you want to grab a skirt that you love the fit of and that also has a similar kind of stretch content to your rugs. As you can see, I already have lined up my center denim skirt button with my center marking pin here. And now all I have to do is mark the sides of my skirt onto my rugs. Now, you can use pins to do this. You can use marking chalk, marking pens, whatever you have on hand. Once you're happy with your template marks, then you can go ahead and stitch the rugs together following the lines. Once you have your side seams complete, then I highly recommend slipping your soon-to-be skirt on to check if you do in fact need a zipper. Because my fabric here is not stretchy, I absolutely need to put in my zipper. So I want my zip to actually be an exposed zip, and I'm going to put it on the back. So here I still have my center pin mark. And I'm just going to grab my zipper. And like I said, I really like the look of an exposed zipper, especially on this type of kind of chunky fabric. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm simply going to now pin it in place and then stitch it on. So my zipper is stitched on, and now I'm simply going to open it and carefully chop out the fabric behind it, like so. So, of course, because this is a woven rag rug, as soon as I chopped on through, it started fraying. So I've pulled out a few of the frayed threads, and I'm just knotting them at the base of my zipper. Okay, I've done 3 knots now, so that should be nice and secure. Then go ahead and trim off all of those little excess hanging bits from beside the zipper, making sure you do not actually chop through your original seam here. And then, if you'd like, you can go and do another quick seam just along the edge to make sure that it's not going to fray anymore. So now that the zipper is done, we can figure out what to do with these flippy flappy sides. So I'm going to turn my skirt sideways, and then I will have much better access to both of the side pieces here, the front and the back. And now I am simply going to kind of get all of these fringes out from under and pin it in place. And now I am simply going to stitch straight down from the front corner all the way around the bottom and back up to the back corner. And I'm going to leave this top bit open. Once I had one side all nicely stitched together, I flipped it over and repeated the whole process on the other side. And then I went even further. Ta-da! And I stitched a couple of straight lines across the front and the back to create pockets. I have pockets on the front and the back now. I definitely prefer my version of do's and don'ts, but I want to know if you want to see more videos in this kind of theme, this do and don't, or sorry, don't and do theme. And if you use my tutorials, please share them with me. You know, send me an email with a pic attached, or if you don't want to do that and you've shared it on your social media, feel free to use the hashtag. Are we still doing that? Hashtag Refashionista Sheri, or tag me at Refashionista Sheri. And I'm gonna go a little bit on a tangent right now, but it really does make my little Sheri in here sing with joy when I get to see the projects that you actually make. And I am currently doing a summer workshop series with some absolutely fabulous kiddos, and I just love it so much seeing that they really are excited about upcycling. And when the project is finally done and they get to see what they did, it's just amazing. So I want to see your projects. So tag me, send them to me, let me see them. And if you want to go even deeper, join my wardrobe revolution at refashionistasherry.com. Plus, you know what? You can come behind the scenes with me if you are part of my rockin' Refashionista crew. So that is down there for you as well. Just hit that little join button. Again, I never know where it is, but just hit that button. And we're actually going to start hanging out together on the weekends and doing a live stream with my rockin' Refashionista crew, because there's so many things that I absolutely have to share with you. And I think it's cool to do that if we can have a conversation, right? Absolutely. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I'll catch ya on the zigzag.
This is Confessions of a Refashionista.